Our first story is about the bravery of a man named Abram, the same man who later is known as Abraham. It begins in a land filled with vast plains and towering hills. There lived two relatives, Abram and Lot. Abram was the uncle of Lot and a kind man who lived in the hills, and Lot lived in the lush plains near a city called Sodom. One day, a big battle happened. Four powerful kings fought against the five kings of the plains, including the king of Sodom, where Lot lived. The kings from the plains lost, and the winners took many things and people captive from Sodom and Gomorrah, including Lot. One man escaped and went and found Abram. When Abram heard that Lot was taken away, he knew he had to help. He gathered 318 of his servants and friends and set off on a great adventure to save Lot. They traveled at night, being super quiet and sneaky. Under the starry sky, Abram and his friends surprised the bad kings and their soldiers. They were very brave and fought hard. Because they were smart and worked together, they won the battle and rescued Lot and all the other people who had been taken. After this exciting rescue, the king of Sodom wanted to pay Abram by giving him all of the goods they had recovered. But Abram refused and gave God the glory. So Abram became a hero for saving Lot and showed that being brave and doing the right thing is important. It also reminded everyone that when with God, they can do great things. And this adventure of Abram and Lot became a story told for many, many years. Our next story is about Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. A long time ago, in a land far away, there was a brave man named Joshua. He was chosen by God to lead the Israelites, a group of people who had been wandering in the desert for a very long time. They were waiting for the time when they were allowed to enter that special land that God had promised them. Joshua was a strong and wise leader. He trusted God and followed his instructions. One day, God told Joshua,
"Cross the river Jordan and enter into the promised land."
but there was a problem. The river was very wide and flowing fast. How would they get across? Joshua did not worry. He knew that with God's help, anything was possible. He instructed the priests to carry a special chest called the Ark of the Covenant and step into the river. As soon as their feet touched the water, something miraculous happened. The water stopped flowing and the riverbed became dry. The Israelites walked across on dry ground, amazed and thankful for this miracle. After crossing the river, Joshua sent 2 spies into the land. They found there was a city called Jericho. The spies returned and said,
"Jericho has huge walls around it, but the people there, they are afraid of us."
Then God gave Joshua a special plan. For 6 days, they were to march around the city once each day, carrying the ark and staying silent. Then on the 7th day, they were to march around 7 times and then shout with all their might. Joshua and the Israelites did exactly as God instructed. On the 7th day, after marching around the city 7 times, they shouted loudly. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho fell down flat. The Israelites were able to take the city, and it was a great victory. This amazing adventure showed that with faith in God and courage in their hearts, the Israelites could overcome any obstacle. Joshua became a great hero, remembered for his trust in God and brave leadership. And the Israelites learned an important lesson, that with God on their side, they could do amazing things, and remembered to trust and follow God. The story of Ruth and Boaz. This story begins in the city of Bethlehem. There was a woman named Naomi. She and her husband had 2 sons. One day, there was no food left in Bethlehem, so they moved to the land of Moab. But sadly, her husband died. Her sons married 2 local girls, Ruth and Orpah. After some years, her sons also passed away, leaving Naomi and her daughters-in-law alone. Naomi decided to return to her homeland in Bethlehem and told Ruth and Orpah to stay in Moab with their families. Orpah stayed, but Ruth loved Naomi very much and insisted on going with her. Ruth said, "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." When they arrived in Bethlehem, it was the time of the barley harvest. Ruth went to a field to pick up leftover grains so they could eat. The field belonged to a kind man named Boaz, who was related to Naomi's husband. Boaz noticed Ruth's hard work and kindness towards Naomi. He told his workers to leave extra grain for her to gather. Boaz admired Ruth's loyalty to Naomi and her strong character. Naomi was happy to see Ruth being taken care of and thought of a plan. She knew Boaz was a relative and could marry Ruth. Naomi told Ruth what to do, and Ruth went to Boaz at night, laying at his feet to show she was willing to be his wife. Boaz was honored by Ruth's request, but knew that there was another relative who had the first right to marry her. The next day, Boaz met with this relative and the town elders. The other relative could not marry Ruth, so Boaz happily agreed to marry her. Boaz and Ruth's wedding was a joyful celebration. They soon had a baby boy named Obed, who grew up to be the grandfather of King David. Ruth, who chose to follow Naomi and her God, became an important part of God's plan. Which leads us to our last story. In the small town of Nazareth, there lived a young woman named Mary. She was kind, gentle, and found favor in the eyes of God. Mary was engaged to be married to a man named Joseph, a humble carpenter who was a descendant of King David. One day, something miraculous happened. An angel named Gabriel appeared to Mary. His presence was like a warm, shining light, and Mary felt both amazed and a little scared. But the angel said, "Fear not, Mary, for you have found favor with God. You will have a baby boy, and you shall name him Jesus. He will be great and called the Son of the Highest, the Son of God." Mary knew this would be impossible because she was not even married yet. Though surprised, she accepted this incredible news with faith, trusting in God's plan. Meanwhile, in the grand halls of power, the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus declared that everyone must return to where their family was from to be taxed. Joseph, being a descendant of King David, had to travel to Bethlehem in Judea. Mary, now expecting this special baby, joined him on this long journey. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the town was full of people. Everywhere they looked, the inns were full, with no room for travelers. Mary was about to have her baby, and Joseph worriedly searched for a place for them to stay. Finally, they found shelter in a simple stable, a manger, a place where animals were kept. In that humble stable, under the twinkling stars, Mary gave birth to Jesus. She wrapped him in swaddling clothes and gently laid him in a manger, a feeding trough for animals. The night was peaceful, and a feeling of love and hope filled the air. Out in the fields near Bethlehem, shepherds were watching their flocks by night. Suddenly, the sky lit up with a heavenly light, and an angel appeared, announcing the birth of the Savior, Christ the Lord. The shepherds were filled with joy and wonder. They decided to go to Bethlehem to see this miraculous event. Far away in the east, Wise men saw a special star in the sky. This star, they knew, signaled the birth of a new king. They traveled a long distance, following the star until it led them to Bethlehem. When they saw baby Jesus in the house, they knelt down and worshipped him, offering gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But not everyone was happy about the birth of Jesus. King Herod, fearing the new king, wanted to find and harm Jesus. An angel appeared to Joseph in a dream, warning him of the danger. Immediately, Joseph took Mary and Jesus and fled to Egypt, where they stayed until it was safe to return. After some time, when the danger had passed, the family returned to Nazareth. There, Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, and in favor with God and man. And so, the story of the birth of Jesus, a story of love, hope, and faith, has been told and retold, bringing joy to hearts around the world, especially during the time of Christmas.
Thank you for watching.